8:37. Now, it's a condition that can be difficult to diagnose, but it can deprive people of their memories and alter their personalities. There are 800,000 people living with dementia in the UK, and that's a figure that's rising each year.
How then can we help those who develop the illness? Well, Breakfast Jenny Hill's been to Bruges, now recognised as a pioneer in how it deals with dementia.
History flows through this city. Every street has a story. But if you can't remember, you can sing. This is the Dementia Choir. The music, it's thought, stirs memories otherwise lost. Here we met Nico and his wife and carer, Elena.
I love that. It's a fine thing to do, to sing here.
That's what's so nice about Bruges. There's nowhere else. Everywhere else they focus or they zoom in on the person with the disease, but here they also have an eye or special attention for the caretaker.
Throughout Europe, Bruges is recognised as a dementia-friendly city, and one which many communities in the UK are keen to emulate, copying not just its schemes and projects, but more importantly, its attitudes. Traders here, for example, are putting up this sign. It means staff, like those in this carpet shop, are ready to help. A recognisable safe haven for those in the early stages of dementia. Do you see many people with dementia?
We do. We do. More and more, in fact.
And so do the police.
Dispatching hier 841.
We joined Geert and Philip as they search for an elderly woman.
Ja, Roger.
It's just an exercise, but thousands of people with dementia go missing every year in Belgium. Some die as a result. So police here have developed a database of vulnerable citizens.
We're losing at least some hours to obtain or to gather all necessary information. So now all this information is available. What were they wear? Where were they seen last time when they disappeared? Where did they live before? Where did they work before? Every minute, every hour counts.
In this small city alone, there are 2,000 people with dementia. 2/3 of them live in the community. Specialist dementia counsellors help people like Germain and Hilda. He's given practical help and support. She's offered therapy as her husband's condition develops.
Having dementia is very tough, but having a city who exclude dementia, that is really tough.
The choir relies on volunteers. Other projects here on charitable donations, so some fear for the future. Meanwhile, Elena told us she accepts her husband's gone, but she'll ensure the rest of Nico's life is secure and happy.
Well, Jenny joins us again, and alongside her, Professor Myrna Downs, who's an expert in dementia studies, teaches how to deal with dementia at the University of Bradford. Professor, you have been to Bruges, yes, and you've studied what they are doing there particularly. What kind of lessons have you picked up from the way that they deal with dementia there?
Well, they focus both on the person's experience and the family's experience, but also on the broader community and the role they play in helping families and people with dementia live fuller lives with this condition.
I mean, particularly you mentioned their families. It can be, when someone who is a member of your family then is affected by dementia, sometimes, you know, it is a reality for many families. Their personality can change, the way they interact with you can change. It is a real challenge, isn't it? Your expectations have to change about your relationship with that person. What can we learn about how they've dealt with that?
Well, the wonderful part about Bruges, while we know about the knotted handkerchief and the dementia-friendly banner, the wonderful part about Bruges is actually the attention they pay to the couple and the people with dementia and their families to help them renegotiate their relationships or adapt to different abilities and different preferences or wishes. So that's, while we have the headlines of Bruges being dementia friendly, it's really the detailed work they do in people's homes that's probably the most inspiring aspect.
But a lot of lessons from the Bruges model, Jenny, which presumably we could learn here in the UK.
Yeah, and I think a lot of projects and schemes are already happening. There's a lot of pilots going on at the moment, looking at things like how to help dementia sufferers with, for example, sport, music, looking after them. A lot of dementia sufferers will go missing. 41% of people will go missing at some point. So there's some work going on in various communities in terms of how to deal with that. None of it's quite as joined up as perhaps the government and the Alzheimer's Society would like it to be yet, and that's perhaps one of the advantages of Bruges, and that I think a lot of these projects are very much joined up.
Is there a sort of cultural difference, though, is in the sense that in places like Bruges they have a more caring, tolerant attitude than we might, do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's more that they have a very charismatic leader who's managed to change the perception of the community about dementia, and we're a long way along that road. Similarly, in the UK, the Prime Minister's challenge on dementia has really woken a lot of people up to dementia. Perhaps this very programme is now more interested than it might have been 3 years ago or so.
But it's interesting you mentioned that. I had a tweet this morning from someone who said we have a dementia-friendly community. It's called a village, and in some respects I think Bruges does what perhaps we did in the UK maybe a few decades ago, where communities were perhaps a little closer. There were people at home, so if somebody down the road had dementia, went missing during the day, someone was there to take care of them. I think perhaps Bruges has that kind of culture in place still, whereas maybe some parts of the UK have lost that.
Yeah, and we do, I mean, you know, we all feel under so much pressure, I think. There does feel like a kind of cultural shift towards a more high-paced environment, you know, more technologically sort of connected. And sometimes that doesn't help you deal so much with somebody who might be slowing down a little bit.
No, excellent point, really. It's about the pace we live our lives at, and we talk in our world about outpacing people with dementia. We go too quickly for them to keep up with us, and we really need to slow down in order to work at their pace of processing information.
But with 800,000 people suffering from it in the UK, it's clearly something we're going to have to focus on more and more.
Absolutely, and we're a good long way on the road to doing that.
Okay.
Good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. And Jenny, thanks very much indeed.